LeBron in Game 2 last night takes a shot to the head, to the neck, leaves, comes back. Didn't look the same, some thought, in the second half. Do you think that injury, that neck injury, did affect his play and how the Cavs sort of got going there in the second half and ultimately lost that one?
I think it did. I think it had a big impact on it, and I think it was meaningful that Marcus Smart said post-game that they recognized at that moment that they could really press up on Cleveland and make them uncomfortable. And I think I personally have never seen that look in LeBron's eyes. I thought it was more than a neck strain when I saw it, and I didn't think he was the same in the second half. Even though he was putting up numbers, he was playing first chair violin and not conducting everybody else, and that whole team's built to feed off of him. So if he's not going to be the one setting everybody up, it's going to be very difficult for them to feel comfortable. And I think on the defensive end, Brad's adjustments were really, really good. But I also think that once they got to the point where they had lost some confidence, they weren't making multiple effort plays anymore on defense like they did in the first half. And you get outscored 71-47 from that point on. It had a really profound impact on the group.
For sure. What can the Cavs do here down 2-0 in this series? Are there adjustments to be made from Coach Lue as they head back to Cleveland? Is there something that jumps out to you? What do they do here?
Yeah, I think there are, and I think a lot of it will be predicated upon LeBron's condition, obviously. Sure. But right now, to this point, if you're Ty Lue, Boston held serve. That's what they're supposed to do, and it's not a series until somebody loses at home.
Right.
So what you don't want to do is let it become a series at this point. So go hold serve at home. I think one of the things they're going to need to do is they're going to need to start to run some offense through Kevin Love, play him from the elbows, run some more quick hitting actions that all of the switching that Boston is doing really aren't effective against. And if you can do that, you also have the chance to maybe score when LeBron sits down. And if nothing else, he may need a little more rest the rest of the way than he had gotten so far.
LeBron has been on a couple teams now through his illustrious career here where he has been down 2-0. Some he's been swept, others he's come back. You were on one of those teams. You were part of that 2016 finals team. Yeah, I mean, Cavs were down 2-0, obviously more infamously down 3-1. But when you were heading into Game 3, down 2-0 in the finals, I mean, what was LeBron like? What was being said? What was the locker room like, facing that challenging, task to overcome that?
Well, I think that group really had a confidence that came from knowing they were legitimately really good. And maybe we were delusionally confident as well. But I think knowing we were going home, we felt like we had left a lot on the table in those first couple games. Now, nobody gets outscored by the amount we did and feels good about themselves. But because we had recognized the point in those games where they sort of slipped away, and I think we were so keen to the idea that this is a war of attrition that we didn't really show too much. I think the coaches had kind of settled in on some changes we were going to make, and we didn't show it there. And so knowing we were coming home, we had a confidence level, and again, it proved unwarranted because they ended up getting one of those home games as well. So
did the Draymond Green suspension factor into the disillusion of confidence that he was out for Game 5?
Yeah, I mean, certainly it played a role in our ability to continue to believe down 3-1. Had he not been suspended, I still think we would have had that same confidence level. I think the outcome certainly would have been much more difficult to arrive at. But at that point, we had left so much on the table in the games in Cleveland that I think it was really clear we were very, very close and that it was a war of attrition. Steph at that point was very much showing signs of wearing down a little bit physically too. And when you can feel that as a player on the court, you can feel their body language changing, you have the ability to be more confident, and I thought that was really clear last night. Boston smelled blood in the water when LeBron got hit. And when you can flip that switch and feel that, it's very profound, and it doesn't matter what we're all sitting here thinking down 3-1, they know it. So
also happening last night, we had these finals Game 2, the draft lottery happened, and I had forgotten about this, but you were the lottery representative. You were the team representative for the Cavs back in 2014. You guys had a 1.7% chance, I think, to win the #1 pick. And you were there, and you did it. What was your secret to winning the 2014 draft lottery?
There will never be a nerdier version of anyone on stage. Look at that look. Wow, that's embarrassing.
What do you remember, though, from this night? I mean, did you guys party after? I mean, those are long odds there.
Well, look at how lean I was,
yeah,
first
you're
of all.
Looking great.
No, it's funny. The thing that I remember more than anything else was how surreal it was to walk onto the stage there and see all of the guys that were representing other teams and the women that were representing for their teams. It was really profound to be there for that moment. Obviously, Mallory Edens is on stage and
Yep.
Dr. J's on stage. Nobody's looking at the actuary standing next to him, right? So I was able to sort of slide in and slide out of the room. But it was a big deal for me to be up there with Dr. J because really, to a huge degree, he was the reason I felt like I was in the NBA. My birthday present every year was tickets to watch the Suns play the 76ers.
Wow.
And so that was really a dream come true for me to be part of the world that really he brought me into
Sure.
it to a huge degree. And beating him was kind of cool.
Yeah. And what were your lucky charms on that night? Remind me again.
Yeah, so I had what we called Thor's hammer, which was Nick Gilbert's bow tie
Right.
in my pocket.
Right.
Nobody else is allowed to wear that. And I had a pin that was my grandmother's pin.
Right.
And that served us well for a long time. You know, it's funny. You think about all the things you do from the standpoint of just sheer idiocy when you're in the process of trying to do everything you can to win. Rub this so many times and knock your head. And
Right.
all of the silliness that we were doing. It was. It's fun that it paid off in that circumstance. But I look back at it. I look back on me in that video we showed, and I can't even imagine how terrified I was at that time.
And finally, before we go to break here, last time we had you on, it was around the Super Bowl. Timberlake was performing. We went to commercial, and you said, "Why didn't you ask me my favorite Justin Timberlake song?"
Yeah.
What's your favorite?
No, I
JT
was
song?
crushed.
I know.
really
Well,
was.
let's hear the answer.
Pusher Love Girl.
Oh,
obviously.
oh, wow.
I mean,
That's a
is there
banger.
even a question? I mean, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry we didn't ask you last
Hello,
time.
is this thing on? I mean, what are we doing here?
Chris, can't thank you enough, man, for swinging by.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Catch you on Game Time later tonight. All right, when we come back, Tass and Trey here.